so that later on I could share this with you. So Anna Maria, thank you so much for coming and joining and doing like some of this live reading for us. For people who are watching on Facebook, if it's something that you're interested in having a reading and you want to get some feedback on what's going on in your life, what you need to do. This is fall time, and with every season, you have to do things a little bit differently. So you guys know me, I'm Dr. Veronica Anderson, and yes, I'm an MD, and I like to introduce myself as a licensed physician, but also a practicing psychic, because at this point in my career, a lot of people consult me for medical intuitive readings, but I do a lot more than that with people. A lot of times I'm able to read all parts of their life and not just focus on health, but focus on other areas of their life where they need to get results. And so this is what we're going to work on today with Anna Maria. So I want to introduce Anna Maria, who is a top producing insurance person who has a best-selling book. It's the art of insurance sales. Is that what it is, Anna Maria?
The secret art of selling insurance.
The secret art of selling insurance. So the secret art of selling insurance is a great book because it doesn't just talk about how to sell insurance, but how to sell in the first place. And so from people like Anna Maria, she talks her group, her tribe, are insurance people, but they're also nuts and bolts that you can learn from somebody like this. So what we want to do is, when you get in a reading and you're looking at somebody's energy and somebody's doing this, your energy is actually all around you and is giving you information about what you need to do and change in life. Now, the difficulty is a lot of times we can't see what we need to change in life, and we go to a particular area that seems like the right area, but yet there's something else. And so a lot of times there's something that's holding us back. We don't even know it. Something that's blocking us. We don't even know it. And this is what can happen sometime with people's health. They may think that it's one thing and it's something else, or they've tried everything and nothing seems to be working. And that's where somebody who is a professional who understands how to read energy can help you get results. So, but when you read somebody's energy, you don't just get information about their health, you get information about their whole life. So what we're going to talk about today is what I call the life matrix. It's the 5 core areas of everybody's life: health, money, career, relationships, and also spirituality and personal growth. You're with the source. So I want to make sure that we get through all of those, and then we're going to go into some questions. But if you have any comments that you want to make some comments, say something, ask questions if you're interested in ask questions, but we are going to get started. The only thing I need to do a reading on somebody is their first name, their last initial, their age, and their sex. Sometimes the location helps, but not necessarily. And what happens is I put voice to what their energetic system is saying. And this is not something that's a mystery. This is about quantum physics. We all have a biofield that's around us. You might know it also as an aura. And so when you have the biofield around you, that's how you know when somebody walks in a room and they're in a particular mood. If somebody walks in your house, and you might know exactly who it is that walks in your house without seeing them or hearing them, but somebody walks in and you not only know who walked in the house, but actually what mood they're in. So a little bit about that. If you want to ask questions, and we'll get going. So first, I'm just going to collect myself a little bit and say that I'm honored to be here helping Anna Maria. And my intent for this is for the best and highest good, for it to come out for Anna Maria, for her to be able to go forward in life with the best information as to what is the best next thing for her to work on and for her to do. I'm also going to look to see if I look, see, feel, touch, see if there's anything I see that could be blocking in any of these areas. And we're going to look at a couple areas that a lot of people are interested in: the earning energy, so what's going on with vis-a-vis money, and also relationship energy. And relationship is not just romantic relationship, but relationship is also about your relationships with siblings, family, bosses, other people that you meet in the world. And so I'm going to start to do the scan. I'm going to start at the top with the strongest area about health. And I'm going to look at like different parts of the body. So there's different ways to do the scan. I'm going to explain a little bit about what I'm doing as I'm doing. There's different ways to do a energetic reading from the health perspective. One is to do a body scan like you're a CAT scan or MRI machine. Another way is to look at chakras. You can look at the Chinese medicine system of those 5 areas, or you can also look at the different Western medicine systems and in those specifically. And I use all of those. Sometimes I use other tools like cards, not tarot cards, but some other cards that I have to figure out what's going on with someone and to get information. And so for Anna Maria's energy is telling me to do just what's called the simple scan. And so I'm looking, I start usually at the head rather than down at the bottom. A lot of times when I'm doing the chakras, I start at the bottom and I go up. And so when I'm doing a scan, I think of myself like I'm a CAT scan machine, and look at it. I will say about doing the scan with the health stuff that the scan is probably the most superficial of them, but I use what the energy tells me to use because that's going to yield the most information. So I'm looking at the brain and I can see her eyes very clear in the eyes. The brain looks very good. I'm going down to the nose. You know, in the nose area, I'm seeing some what looks like irritation from possibly, you see these things sometime in allergy and sinusitis type things. It is fall season, so some kind of that could be it big. Not something that's a huge big deal though, but I see some disturbances in that area. One thing to say about this, I want to say when I'm doing something with health is that, yes, I'm a doctor. However, a medical intuitive reading or scan is not a medical diagnosis, recommend for medical treatment, psychotherapy, medical advice, and anything that we find on here has to be checked and verified in a different way. And so this is informational and educational and does yield a lot of information, but this is not the all, end all, be all, final say, even when something is found, but it does give you an idea of where to look. So I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that when you get an intuitive reading, that's it, that's what it is, don't do anything else. Okay. I'm going down further down and I'm going into the mouth and the throat area. I'm looking at the thyroid area. And, you know, I know Anna Maria is a larger person, but the interesting thing, and you would think somebody who's a larger person has like a lot of stuff going on in their thyroid, but interestingly, I don't see that in Anna Maria. And so when somebody is the size that they are, people make assumptions about what's going on and what's not going on, and you can't do that. It's just, there's no real hard and fast rules to this. One thing about that, as I'm scanning, I also get some other spiritual information. So Anna Maria generally has, so I can see things are looking like really crisp and clear. I'm going in the heart area. I'm hearing when I'm listening, and this is intuitive listening, that there's a little bit irregularity in the way the heart beats. Might have been, you know, a little bit of a murmur, not significant. not causing a problem, something that's been there a long time, could have been picked up before, could have not been picked up before, not causing a problem that needs to be worked on. I don't know if somebody's ever told you anything like this before. So vis-a-vis, I'm looking in the chest area. One thing what's coming to me in the chest area is some labored breathing. Not as much now, might have been in childhood. Sometimes people have things in childhood that cause this labored breathing. Sometimes people have history of being around smokers, or a lot of people have asthma when they're young. And so as they get to adult, they don't actually have a diagnosis or something like that, but you still see that the breathing's not as clean and clear as it possibly could be. Maybe makes your exercise tolerance not as good as it could be because of this breathing type thing. When I look at the breast area, they look a little bit cystic but healthy. Cystic meaning rather than just, breasts are fat, and sometimes there are open areas in it that are cysts. These are the type of things, cysts, that make it hard for you to, when people examine them from the outside, they feel funny. And so you may end up being the type of person that when you go get a mammogram or you go get a palpation, they have to do multiple tests, or it's hard to actually get it, or they don't feel like they see everything. That's the time with cystic breast. But I don't see anything that looks like it's hard or inflamed or irritated in them, just that these are normal for you. As I'm going down and I'm going towards, the more the chest and the torso, I'm really getting, interestingly, that your weight is related to, and I'm going to try to see this. This is interesting. Your weight is related to some struggles in a past life. Not necessarily this life. You're the type of person that, sometimes people have traumatic things happen in this life and it makes them eat a whole lot, and so they gain weight. But what I'm seeing is a past life. I'm trying to tap into that past life event and see if I can see what's going on there. Let me see. I'm trying to go through. I'm getting almost like a damsel in distress type situation. I'm getting in the time frame around the 1500s, and you were the youngest child in a family that was not very well off. You were like the youngest daughter. And as a result, one thing about you is you were the really beautiful daughter. You had a very attractive family, and you were absolutely gorgeous, and everybody could see this, but you were not full of yourself because of this. And your father, this was a time period where the custom was to give daughters to get dowries. And you were very, very high valued in that period of time because you were just so beautiful, and so everybody wanted you. It's interesting when you start doing readings on people, how do you know these things are real? Because the whole emotion comes flooding in. The emotion's starting to flood in about this because you were almost, not almost, I'm mincing words because sometimes you don't want to say these type of things. And it's like, um, you were, there was, I don't know how to describe it other than an event that was almost like an auction, because there were a lot of people in the town who were very powerful, and they always want to have the best offspring. And because you were so perfect in form, there was like a bidding war for you, for these higher ups in the society to decide which family was going to get you for their son. And what was difficult about this for you particularly was that you were very strong-willed and didn't go with the flow. And so you were very, very angry about this, but you had no control over it. You knew you were going to have to go. And your mother really didn't have any say. Your other sisters were angry at you. There were two other sisters. I'm going to see if I can locate some of these people that are in this life possibly now. You had two other sisters. Those two sisters were angry at you because they were older, and when you go into these families, your life gets better because you get the spoils of being wealthy. Even though you don't get to live your life is nicer than living as a peasant, and your family was living as peasants. And your older sisters, who were also attractive in their own right, they were, you had a very, your mother and father were not lookers, but somehow they produced these just gorgeous daughters, but you were the most gorgeous. And so there was strife among the family because although they were looking at the other sisters, they all wanted you, and you were the youngest. And I'm zeroing in on the age of like 13, 14, pretty young when this was all going on. And your other sisters were like 16, 17. So they were more in the range of when you would go to be married, but you were the one that everybody wanted. And several wealthy families were offering your father quite a lot of money. And the family that was offering the most money, you didn't really like the son of that family and really didn't want to be part of that family, because you could see that this family they weren't really strong, nice people. But as you can imagine, what ended up happening is your father, who was a peasant, and this is going to be an act of forgiveness here, because sometimes these acts of forgiveness allow you to let go. Your father, who was a peasant and knew no other way to be able to survive, as he was getting older, he was like a wood craftsman, but he hurt something, so he couldn't do it anymore. He really had no way to get money other than pretty much almost selling off his daughters. And you were the one that was going to get the highest price. So you were the one that was focused on first and was going to go to the family that had the most. And so you ended up being put into a situation where you went into this family. They paid a lot of money for you, but of course, when you go into these type of situations, you don't have any say over your life. You weren't particularly treated poorly, but the problem was the guy that you were married to didn't want you. So neither of you wanted to be married to each other, but your families insisted because they wanted to, the rich father of the other guy wanted to have a certain type of offspring, and they thought you would produce that. And the son was actually in love with somebody else who was not even in your family, who wasn't even cute actually, but he loved this woman because looks don't matter. So you ended up in this situation and you were very unhappy and you were not loved. by him, and you did your duties and what you had to do. You produced children, but you felt very angry because you knew that the reason why this happened to you was because you were so beautiful. And so this is something that has been brought forth in this particular lifetime, which has affected your physical appearance. It's not from this lifetime that you're even in the form that you are. It's because you brought something protective from another lifetime, because you did not want to be put into the situation where somebody was going to get you simply because you were just gorgeous. Now, knowing you and seeing you personally, I look and say, oh, she's a beautiful woman, except there's the, in our society, the view that people have, especially in the Eurocentric culture, that you're supposed to be a certain size, which is probably about a half of what you are at this point in time. So you are generally healthy because your weight is not based on that. It's not based on you eating at yourself from something bad that's happened here. It's something that you have brought forth as a protective mechanism that allows you now to be able to actually do the work that you do very well, because you don't have as much attention as you might have. This is all in the area of relationships. One thing that can be challenging for you is in the area of relationships, being able to really trust, because of this betrayal in another lifetime. You're like, you have the feeling now, I don't know why I can't trust people. I'm suspicious, and I just don't know. And there's not even a reason for me to feel this way, but I just feel this way. And even when people prove themselves trustworthy over and over again, something still says to me, I can't trust them at times. This is where this is coming from. It's coming from back here, that there's those things coming in. Why do you get these things? You get these because one of the goals in your life is to learn how to actually break through that and trust people, and realize that people do things for reasons that don't have anything necessarily to do with you. And this is part of your soul journey. So part of your journey in this life, vis-a-vis relationships, is going to be to learn how to just trust what's happening, trust your own judgment, trust that the universe is going to take care of you. So that whole area of relationships is now, why did that come out? Let's talk about why did it come out. There's these 5 areas of the life, and what comes out first is usually what's in your aura and energy, and is saying, we need to peel back this to help everything else in life keep going. And so this is why, and it's interesting because we can see past, present, and even sometime future with people. And I saw something that's related to you in the past. We all have this soul journey that we're on, and you're different in spirit. And so in that particular life, you were, you grew to an older age, which was uncommon for women in that time period. You lived quite a long time, but you were never allowed to have real happiness because you were just pretty much sold into this situation, and that was your lot in life. And you were angry about it, you wanted to do it, but it was just, in that time, there were no options. This was it, and you knew you just had to live this way. And which is not the case now. And probably part of I'm going to make sure this is not the case now, and I never get stuck in this again. And so if I'm in a certain form, I will never get stuck in something like that again, because I won't be the one that's sought after. So the area of learning how to trust family, siblings, parents, lovers, is something to always think about working on. I'm going to look at like breaking some of those cords and blocks as we go forward. So do you have any questions you want to ask me about that specifically before we move forward?
It's crazy how much sense it makes.
That's why I love to do these things.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of commentary is when everybody has this energy and I'm pulling out, everybody has the soul journey and something presents itself that you need to know today now. Mm-hmm. And so when I do the reading, sometimes people come to me with health issues, but there may be another area in life where it's, it's there, right, but you never even verbalize it because it just seems crazy and I'm doing pretty well and, I'm not unhappy or anything, but it can always be better. We're always looking, how can we be better? How can we go to the next level? So why does it make sense to you?
That I do have seasonal allergies. Not a big deal. I'm just taking a light antihistamine. I did have a heart murmur as a baby, and I grew out of it. I did have asthma from the ages of 25 to 35. And I don't have any thyroid issues at all. So money.
Yes. So these aren't things that I could necessarily Google. I don't know her medical record. And these are type of things that you might have just even forgot about. If you go to the doctor and they say, do you have any health problems? You'd be like, no, nothing. Because these aren't things that you would even necessarily think about because they don't bother you and they're not something that's a big deal.
Right.
So let's look at some of the other areas. So your main area, right, of focus for this next season is to really dive deep into trust, the area of trust. Part of your learning to dive deep in the area of trust is to go understand that the bigger issue is not trusting people, but trusting the process of the universe, that you needed these things to be able to get you to the next level. And so when you look at people in your life who've done something that you feel breaks your trust, this is all a test, because once you realize that you bring that I'm fearful of trusting people, fear, which can cause health problems, which causes blocks in your life, to I'm grateful that they gave me that opportunity because now I can say thank you, forgive them and say thank you for that opportunity. And then be able to examine, okay, what did I learn from that issue that I can be grateful for? So go back and look at some of the people that are in your life, because what happens is because you brought this in, it's very easy for you to, as soon as something happens, go, oh, because the feelings in your body already. So little tiny things can seem really big. And you're like, and you're logically, you're saying, I don't know. I know it's not that big of a deal, but I don't care. I know it's not that big deal, but I'm just not going to give it a chance. So there have been some people that you've actually cut off in your life who've done like little things and they don't even understand why they were cut off. So some of the people, you don't necessarily have to talk to them, but you need to talk to them in yourself and in your soul to, say, I forgive you for how this went down, and forgive yourself for understanding that you didn't know this information, and that you now understand where the information came from, so you can have that conversation with yourself and with them energetically to say, okay, thank you for that. Because I had all these experiences, now I know that one of my life things is about trust. And what you did then, I understand why I felt this way. And, you know, it's all good now. And so part of it is absolving other people from what's going on. And also forgiving yourself for that. So, of course, you know, when you do something, so what's next? What is next is health is not your concern. You're strong. Lucky. So people don't look at you. People look at you and they make assumptions. They make assumptions that you're not healthy, and you're probably more healthy than most of the people you run across. You're one of those type of people that you go to the doctor and they want to like say, oof, let's put you on a diet. But then they run all your tests and the stuff all comes back normal. And you're like, I don't know how she does it. I don't know what you're doing. And you don't particularly have a plan either. And somehow stuff comes out good. You're one of those people that people are like, man, I wish I could be like that and everything come out good. I do everything perfect and everything comes out horrible. That is not your story. You're the person that they're like, all the medical studies that they tell you why you should be like a size 2, you defy all that. Okay. Much to a lot of people's chagrin because because of their own limited thinking, they want to tell you to put you on a diet. Okay. So first of all, dieting is the absolute wrong thing for you. In fact, you're the type of person that if you diet, you'll actually gain weight because you'll put your body under stress. I don't know if you've ever tried to diet before and had that experience. You will gain weight. You'll eat less food and you'll weigh more at the end. Dieting is the wrong thing. You need to eat because eating will keep you at your equilibrium. And you can pretty much take anything. You're one of those type of people that's like an iron stomach too. So you can pretty much take anything. So health is not your issue. Now let's look at career. In your area of your career, there's something else. Okay, this is interesting. I know where you are now and what you're doing, but there's something else. There's something else in the career area that you are like fabulously good at. I'm trying to see what it is. You're going to laugh. So you're going to laugh because it's like nothing. These are why people are drawn to me probably too. It's funny because I want to turn away from it because it's like, but one of the areas that you are incredibly strong actually is in the area of spiritual guidance. You're the type of person that people can come to and you will be able to see what nobody else can see. Somebody comes to you, they're going to tell you their problem, and something is going to come out of the blue that's going to be right, like hitting the nail on the head as to what has that person stuck. I would say that in your process that you're doing to help people sell better, that one of the things you have to do is help them see where they're stuck in the area other than you're going to get people who are stuck because they have a block in some other area in their life, not just because they don't know how to sell or they need. So you're going to end up with people, they're going to follow the steps. But if you don't deal with that underlying thought process that's bothering them, they're not going to get anywhere. So you're going to get people who the reason why they can't sell is because they sabotage themselves because they don't want to sell because there's something else in their life that keeps them from selling. So for instance, you might end up with the divorced father who lives in New York or California, who doesn't want to pay a lot more child support, and so he doesn't sell. Now, he doesn't say that. He wants to make more money because everybody wants to make more money. He wants to have a better life, and he's just barely making it because he can't sell really well. He sells just enough. But the problem is he's really resentful about having to pay this extra money to his ex, and though therefore he's sabotaging himself. And he hasn't realized that there's an abundance out there. And so the more he makes, it's great that he can pay more because he's still going to get more for himself. And he hasn't realized that yet because he sees it as giving to his ex or something like that versus that he's successful and everybody, if I go up, everybody goes up, and, that piece of having to deal with that is finite. So you're going to get people who have these blocks in other areas, and that's why they can't sell, not because they don't know the sales process. In fact, they'll know the sales process perfectly, and they'll tell it to you, and you'll watch them go through it, but then you're going to notice at some point that they're going to mess themselves up. And you're going to need to observe, like record and observe, because you're going to be and say, you're going to notice at a particular point that, I said this and directed him to do this, and we really talked about it. But when he got to that point, he did exactly the opposite. And then you're going to go talk to the person, and you're going to say, let's go over this, that, and the other thing. And the person's going to say, I don't know, I didn't buy. I did everything you said. Okay, so tell me about it. You'll go A, B, C, D. Do you have the recording? Make your people record stuff. Do you have the recording? Let's listen to the recording together. And they're going to tell you that they did something different than they did. And it's not because they were lying. It's because they have a black spot in the block right there. And what's going to happen is you're not going to tell them, you're going to illuminate that they're doing that. And then all of a sudden, the scales are going to fall off, and they're going to be like, I don't even remember it that way, because your brain can play tricks on you. But it's right there on the recording. So I know it happened that way because it's right there on the recording. That's me. That's the other person. That's my voice. But if you told me I did that, I would have swore you were lying and you didn't see it right. So you're going to deal with people who have these spiritual blocks, and that's one of their selling problems. Not that they don't know the process. They're going to know the process. You're going to teach them the process. They're going to get better. But what's going to happen is when they get to a certain point, they're going to plateau because they're going to have some type of block that's keeping them from making the real big money. And when you start pointing out, you did exactly the opposite there. Let's talk about that. Why do you think that is? The person's going to be able to all of a sudden tell you what's going on in the background. And then you're not going to have to do a lot. You're going to have to more or less say, how can we work on that belief? And you might have to suggest to them that there's infinite amounts of abundance in the universe, and you'll deal with people that people like, I'm the youngest child. I wasn't supposed to be the successful one. My big brother's not successful. If I'm really successful, although he's making a lot, I can't ever make more than him. And so I can't seem to make more than $500,000. I get to $499.99. I don't care what I do. I can't get above $499.99, right? What's going on there? And so this is with your career. You're not going to be just teaching people the process. You're also going to have to do some deep spiritual counseling, because they're going to have a block that doesn't have anything to do with their sales procedure and not knowing. It's going to have to do with their spiritual, something that's going on. And it's not going to be obvious when you first start working with them. They're going to come in, they're going to be very focused, they're going to implement, they're going to get results, but then you're going to be like, they're plateauing what's going on, and they're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. But then what I would suggest is from this is you're going to have a protocol, a procedure for walking people through these spiritual journeys. And the people that are going to come to you more are going to end up being men, not women. Because you're very balanced, and a lot of men are going to feel really comfortable with you. And understand that they're not going to see you like the normal naggy woman that I can't listen to, or that woman that seems too overbearing. You have just the right, I don't know if like this is how men see you, but I'm going to say yes. You're going to have just the right touch so that men are going to feel very, very comfortable with you and know that there's something they can learn from you. They're not going to be quite sure. There may be somebody over there that has a really big profile that's the sales guru, and they're going to pick you because something about your energy, which is it's your balancedness, and that they know that you can look very objectively, that you have a process, but they're also going to intuitively get that there's something else that you can help them with, and they're not even going to know what it is. So with your career, you're going to need to put in some type of component to help people through these emotional and spiritual blocks that they don't even realize, because they're going to be successful in their own right. You're not going to get the people who are at the bottom of the heap, who just don't know what they do. They're not going to want to come to you because you're going to be too intimidating to them. The people who are they can't do it at all. They're not the ones that need you the most. They're not going to be the ones that come to you. It's going to be the ones that have plateaued and they want to figure out, how do I get to the next level? What other sales secrets do you know? How can I get to the next level? And of course you have your process, which is masterful. However, you're going to have the secret sauce that you're going to just know, here's the question I need to ask, and you're going to be tapping into their energy and know that. So you have that ability to do that. You're going to use that. And so that's what's going to break you through. That goes to the next area when we talk about money and wealth. What's going to break you through of getting more money and wealth is actually using this other X factor that you may be spiritually inclined, but you just never saw a place to use it. You're going to have to figure out how to put that in, because that's going to be the thing that's going to leap you over the top and get you the numbers that you want, twice or three times the numbers that you predicted that you would have. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get the word of mouth, and people are going to start following you, and they're going to start coming out of the woodworks, because you're going to say, she has this process and I'm not even sure what she does, but it works. And I feel like I knew it all, but we did this one little thing, and it just, yesterday I couldn't get it sold, and today everybody's throwing the money at me. And so people are going to verbalize it, and they're not even going to know what's happening, because once you bring these things to the forefront, they start getting better and falling away, right? So it's interesting that this is all relating. Because you're in the form you are so that people will take you more seriously, right? One of the problems of women is the more attractive you are, the less people take you as seriously. And so people don't think necessarily people who are larger are so attractive. And you're attractive. When people look at you, they see the beauty in a different way. So people are naturally attracted to you because part of the physical stuff. So you might have had people in your life, like men, who just were like magnets towards you, and they couldn't even figure, I don't even like your type, but there's something about you. Oh my God, I like skinny blonde women, but oh my God, you're irresistible. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of, right? And it's because there's that inner attractiveness that people they can't verbalize it based on the logic of what they are supposed to like. Because a lot of times people are looking at who, like in that life, who's going to reproduce the best, and they think that they're going to be attracted to that. But then there's these other group of people that, even though they may not know it, they're on some type of soul journey. So they meet you, and then they're like, I don't even know why I like you, but I do. I don't even know why. I can't even explain this. I usually think heavy people are disgusting, but there's something really irresistible about you. Has anybody ever said something like this to you?
Many times. Skinny blonde thing, absolutely.
Many times. Interesting. And those are the people who are on a soul journey, and they need a piece of information that you have to give them. You are a gift giver. And so you have people float in your life who, and this is part of the trust thing too, because people will float into your life and they'll seem really strong and like the relationship's going to work. And then it just falls apart, and it doesn't seem any rhyme or reason. It just all of a sudden we're hot and heavy, and all of a sudden it's not, and it just falls away and goes away. And you're like, why does this keep happening to me? It happens because you're a gift giver, a spiritual gift giver. And what'll happen is you'll be in a relationship with a person, and you're not seeing that you're giving them a gift. You are. And then all of a sudden they will get the gift that they need, whatever it is. They don't even know what to verbalize it is. They'll be better. And then all of a sudden, because they got whatever that was, they don't need you anymore. And they don't need you anymore. And make sure all those people who you've ever felt like that for, why did they go away? You let go of them because they weren't right, right? Because you're a gift giver. It's part of your spiritual knowledge, which goes with the career in having this little extra step of what to do. So you're earning right now, to be able to, you can easily make into 7 figures by putting this spiritual knowingness into your, as your secret sauce. It's not even something that you have to verbalize to people. You might figure out a name to put another something in your step, but there's a secret sauce that's there that you must use. And so in the area of spirituality and personal growth, the second area that is explore as many different tools and techniques in this area as possible, because you're going to need them to help other people unlock. And simply being able to know about it, that it exists in the universe and evoke it. It's just like I'm trained in homeopathy. And one thing I realized about homeopathy is energetic. So somebody would have a problem and I'd be like, I know something that can help you, a homeopathic solution. Are you open to that? Here's how it works. Here's why it works. Is that something you're open to? Yes, 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 yes. All right, they're having a problem. I'm going to order this for you. That'll be, $20 or whatever. I collect the money, I place the order, and energetically they're already fixed because that's how it works. That's how the energy works. This is how physics work. Your intent putting together with something else in the universe that's right, that goes, actually can change the energy, which is all this invisible stuff that people don't understand and they don't even believe in. And you using that invisible that people don't understand and believe in is going to help a lot of people. But in order for you to be able to use it at the very highest level, you have to do the exploration so you understand it well enough to, somebody's going to come in your realm and going to be like, you know what? They would do really well to have a natal chart, because the answer to what's going on in their block is they need a natal chart. All right, who am I going to get this natal chart from? So you need to know people who are very high level performing astrologists who deeply know whatever they are. You're not going to learn the things. You need to expand and understand it well enough so that when somebody comes in your realm, like, I know I'm not an expert in homeopathy, but I've trained in it enough to understand how to pull some things off the shelf. And then if somebody needs to go deeper, I'll say, you need to go deeper, and I'll forward you to that person to go deeper. All right. So you're going to need to know a lot of professionals in areas that are outside sales and marketing and branding to help your clients. So you need to know Like, you know, I tell people about my hand analysis and my natal charts, and you know, there's the human design and just readings and all the things that I've learned about, and some of them that I've actually trained to do, so that when people come in my realm, I can say, oh wow, you need nemology. Nemology is, there's a woman, Sharon Wyeth, that knows name. She can look at your name and pull apart what your master path in life is based on what your name is. So she will, somebody interesting, I'm mentioning that, I mentioned that, I'm going to give you the name of her, because when I mention something, that means energetically there's something they can probably give you. And so I figured, I just pulled out demology, because she's going to look at your name and say, oh, here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to watch out for. And the interesting piece about this is all these energetic techniques all will say the same thing from a different point of view. You just must make sure that you get somebody who's really good at what they're doing. All right. So you would do well to have a name reading, because you'll understand something about it. And that's all she needs to see. She needs to see what your name is, and she'll tell you all about you and all your blocks, your barriers, what you need to do next. Not the natal chart, the nemology. You know, I talk about that because there are all these different techniques that at different times people can use in their life. And of course, when I coach my clients, I use all these, sometimes I use the techniques that I know, the intuitive technique and being able to read energy. And you can learn how to read energy too. You might do it in a different way. Energy reading, and just like learning how to do nemology, learning how to do a natal chart, learning how to do scientific hand analysis, learning how to do human design. This type of energy reading that I do can be taught also and developed in people. And so realize there's nothing magic or mystical out there. It all has to do with quantum physics and energy, and people kind of push it to the side and don't think it's valid. But if you ignore these areas for yourself or for your clients, you're not going to do as good a work. And so you're not going to be able to bust through where you need to bust through. So, do you have comments or questions about any of that I just said?
No, you hit it right on the head. I just had dinner last night with an amazing astrologer that is somebody I'm going to work with. But it's not something that you put out in a book and sell directly, you know, saying this is what you're going to need. It's the people that are going to be naturally attracted to me will pick that up.
Yes.
And it's a very natural, organic type of relationship.
Yes. So for instance, with organic relationship, I had a couple conversations yesterday that were, you know, colleague connection, business connections, not people who were necessarily looking to be clients, and, you know, helping them on something else. And it just turned out that those people were really interested in the kind of stuff that I did. Now, I didn't know anything about them. They didn't really know anything about me. We were getting on a call for a completely different purpose.
Right. Well, that's like when we had dinner the first time and you explained what you did. I was fascinated and I wanted to learn more.
Yes. So that's what's going on with that. So you're going to break through these earning barriers by putting more and more of the energy type stuff in. And as you learn it, don't wait to use it. When you learn something already, go right away and put it in where you see it. Because the thing is about these, everybody needs something different. That's why you need to have a lot of tools. Everybody's going to need something different. And you're going to be like, this thing, need this or that. And you're going to know what that is. And the more you know, the more you're able to download from the universe what is available to be able to help with that person. As far as relationships are concerned, I know you're seeing somebody new. So one thing I want to say is patience with this. Patience because This is somebody who's working through those trust issues also. And so because they're working through the trust issues, they're going to have the run and hide response at some point. And that is the time where you're going to need to be patient, because they're going to run and hide and they really want to be with you, but they're going to have to work out some of their own stuff and they're going to come back. But they're having okay, so what's going on with this person is they are heavily a giver. Giver. Now, the thing that happens with givers is they end up with a lot of takers, because you have the giver energy. You just kind of, you end up with the vampires around you, right? People who are, you talk about energy, because they can't, people who are takers can't help it, because when somebody has that energy that's so bright and high, like this individual's energy, people are naturally attracted to them, and then they're a giver. That's their makeup, and they don't know how to say no. And if anybody comes in their realm that needs something, not just family or friends, but anybody comes in their realm that needs something, they're going to do what they can to give. That's the way they are. But as a result, there's the people who can take the right amount and say thank you and go away and happy. But then you have the greedy vampires that can't get enough. And unfortunately for him, no, he's got to learn from this. So it's not really unfortunate. These are all learning experiences. He's been in some relationships with women who have been vampires to him. And so he is, and the issue is that they didn't look like that at first. Because, there's those people that are able to keep themselves under control and on good behavior until they really sink in their claws. And then it's like, here's my bags. That's what has happened to him. And so he's going to run away at times. It's going to take him a while to just really, because he has a trust issue, and it's not trusting himself, because the people that looked like everything was good, even people he was with for a long time, later on, they came out as being drastic takers. And he's still recovering from some of that. And recovering, when I say recovering, some people recover very angry and bitter. He's not really just an angry, bitter recoverer. He's just, I'm going to protect myself. So, he's like the golden retriever that gets hit and will heal, but then doesn't want to go outside for a walk so much, but knows he has to go outside for a walk. So he goes outside for a walk, but he's even fearful of his owner because he's outside where he could possibly get hit again. And so even the people who are loving and kind to him, he may push away. And that means that there could be a time in a relationship where you're thinking, this is all really great. And all of a sudden, just when it seems really fabulous, he's like, I need to take a break. And you're like, well, what happened? Nothing really happened. I just need to take a break. So it won't even necessarily be dramatic, but it's too much because he's dealing with that. He's going to give. And then his response to take care of himself now is going to be, let me just step back enough so I can keep my wits about me. Right? And that's going to be the time of patience. It's going to be the time of, okay, I hear where you're coming from. I'm here. When you're ready to call me, when you're ready to text me, I'm here. Do what you need to do. And it's going to be that, and he'll start talking about it more and more. But the reason why you're attracted to each other is because you have similar type issues. Him in this life, you in another life. So you have gifts to give to each other. because he has the capacity to be able to figure out how to heal enough to go back out there and still be kind and loving and not completely just throw everybody away. The interesting piece about him is even people who have greatly taken advantage of him, he's not a hater. He's like, all right, that's the way they are. And he understands that's the way they are. And but he doesn't understand why this is happening. And it's all energetic, that he's the giver type person. And he's a test for a lot of people. He's a test of, are you going to be able to treat someone who gives you stuff right? And a lot of those people have failed their own, they failed the test to themselves, not to him. Right? They failed to themselves, that they weren't able to handle the gold and the diamonds in a responsible way, in the best and highest way. And so he's going to have to more clearly see that it wasn't about him at all, that he was there and he was actually the martyr, the test, because that person needed to learn how to not be greedy. And they failed with him, which makes him feel, I can't trust people. I don't know who's who.
Those damn skinny blondes.
Yeah, whatever has happened. Okay. So, I can tell you that now that, sometimes I need to like clear a block or an energy. I think now that the story, the part of the story of the why did you are, that's, something that happened in a past life, you're going to feel better. You're going to sleep. I want some feedback. You're going to sleep better. It's going to be easier. You're going to just say like, something's different. I just feel lighter. I don't even know why. Well, because what happens, a lot of times when people understand something that happened that they brought from past life, they're able to let go of it pretty much instantaneously. And all of a sudden you lighten up, the load lightens up. You may even notice that you do lose some weight without doing anything different, without exercising, without changing your diet. All of a sudden you're like, you know what? My clothes got bigger. And this was tight last week. And that's when you're holding on something energetically, your body does certain things. And this is not stuff that can be explained by Western medicine. My opinion is that every doctor should have some of these things in their toolkit, because when it defies explanation, you have to do something else. People have to have hope. And so defying explanation is we all have things like this in us. So what I told you today in all these areas is all what's on the top layer. It doesn't mean like these are every single issue in your life. These are just what's on the top layer that is priority for you to work on at this point. And then down the line, other things are going to rise up, because as long as our eyes are open, we're on a soul journey and we're learning. So this is November 2019. These are what's probably for the next season, maybe the next year, I would say 18 months, is going to be things that you're going to be working through. And it's not going to be a big struggle and a wrestle type thing. Some people are like, no, that's not how it's going to be. It's just going to be information and opportunities and situations are going to present themselves that you're going to know, yeah, I am working on this. Here's how I'm going to handle this right now. So now this is all going to be more conscious for you, whereas before it was buried and you didn't know what it was. So over the next year to 18 months, you're going to have situations that will allow you to get the information you need to process this even more, which when you have something like this that comes up, it's because you're going to need it for somebody else. You can only help people who are like lower vibrationally you. When you move up, more people come on, right? So as you're going to work on some issues like this, there's going to be something we did or said today that almost immediately you're probably going to work with somebody and see oh my God, I can use this tool or technique with them, because that's how it works. When it wasn't in your realm, you wouldn't see it, or that person wouldn't come to you. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you're going to be teaching a lot of people. And as you learn more tools and techniques, those people who need those tools and techniques are going to come, so you can put them to the test. And the reason why you put them to the test is so that you can become more confident at it. It's just like when I do a reading, you know, I don't want to know anything about you. I don't want you to talk. I don't want you to say something. I just want to talk. And then as I see you going, and then you say, oh my God, I blah, 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 blah. I don't ask for your feedback, but people like to give it to you. Then I'm like, I'm on point. And you know you're on point. So what's going to happen is, don't ask for feedback or anything like that. You do what you know how to do, and you're going to get the feedback that you're on point. And that's how you're going to know that you're strengthening your tools and your techniques. But the only way you're going to strengthen the tools and techniques is by doing it. It may seem scary at first, but realize that person that came to you energetically, they want another answer. So they may be in front of you and they may look like the most straight-laced, conservative person that has no spirit at all. And you're going to mention something that seems crazy to them. And all of a sudden you're going to see the tears come. I mean, I mention things to people and all of a sudden, right? How do you know that? Oh, and you're going to hit. So you're going to have grown men crying. Because you're gonna hit their pain point. And the purpose of hitting the pain point is because that's going to help them move to the next level and have a better life. And you're going to do it through insurance sales. Okay. Any other questions?
No, that's been great. Very insightful. This is so interesting. I've never experienced this before.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you and honor you for allowing me to do this. And I also want to thank you for allowing other people to look in on this, because people say, well, what is it that you do? How do you do it? And they want to know what it is and what they're getting. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people aren't brave enough to do it in public because they don't even want people to know that they're consulting somebody who deals with something that a lot of people think are crazy.
Right. No, and I've told you that you hit all the physical things right on the nail. However, also my trust issues, I know that I have trust issues that go way back. I didn't know how way back. But I have trust issues, yeah, and it really did not stem from my relationships with men in the past.
Not in this life.
No.
Yeah. So we're talking about, so just to put it in perspective, if it's been around for like 500 years, it makes sense that it just wasn't so easy. Right. It was ingrained from something else, and it wasn't something logical that you could put your finger on in this life.
Correct. Because I didn't even trust my parents, you know, and it was like.
You see why you didn't trust your parents?
Yeah. So
your parents, who they had no reason for you not to trust them too. They were trustworthy.
Well, you know.
Well, I mean, let me just say this. You know, we all do the best we can as parents, and
right.
But on the other, what I'm saying is, you know, there are parents out there that just leave a lot to be desired. That you're like, they shouldn't have ever had kids. That's not your story.
No,
they just, you know, they're normal people that are fallible, but nothing that you want to read about in the newspaper and cringe over.
No.
So, you know, just normal parenting stuff. You know, we all have imperfect parents.
Also in my relationships, you know, it didn't work out, but it's not because they were bad people or did anything to me, you know. So
they just fell away.
We just grew apart. Yeah.
They didn't need you anymore. And it wasn't like, when I say somebody didn't need you anymore, you know, that's a good thing, actually, because you got what you needed, they got what you needed, and then you parted ways in an amiable way.
Right.
And which shows a very high level of spiritual maturity on your part and other people's part, which is why you're going to be in the role of being spiritual teacher at some of the time in your career, because you have to be mature to be able to guide other people. It doesn't just happen. Everybody can't do this.
Correct.
You know, you're set aside, you're chosen. That's why I'm going to give you the name for and send you the information about getting the reading, because you get chosen for doing certain things. And you know some of it's there, but when somebody tells you, like for me, I was resisting crazily what I was meant to do. You know, at the end of 2012, when I got outed, I was like, I knew I could do these things, but I wouldn't dare talk about it because I'm a real doctor.
Right.
And you don't do things like that. And
well, you just doubted me, and it's going to be all over social media.
yes, here we are. All right. I want to thank you and anybody who watched, and later on people will be able to take a look and see it. And, you know, I see Shumei say thanks to us both. I'm so happy. Thank you for tuning in. Anybody tuned in on Facebook or tuned into the session. And thanks so much, Anna Maria, just because people don't want to bare their soul. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I'm going to share this as well. So send it over.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.